I have 9:01. We will call the meeting to order. Do I have confirmation we're posted properly on the chapter 19? Yes, we are. Thank you. Approval of the minutes from September 7th, 2023. Move. Motion to approve. Second?
Yep, second.
Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, motion carries unanimously. Is there any public comment on agenda items? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone here? Hearing none, we'll move on to agency reports. We have RC&D. Would you like to bring us up to date?
Yes, so just kind of a little update, we're hiring for interns in counties, kind of east of here, so we do a lot of invasive species management, clean boats, clean waters, in the summers, eastern side of Wisconsin. So I do have some job announcements for those, and then we are also hiring soil conservationists to work in partnership with MRCS in Appleton, Luxembourg, and Manitowoc. So just kind of a little update there. Lots of job announcements coming out. So if you know anybody that's interested, I have those with me.
FSA is also looking for employees, I believe. NRCS is not here today. So any other reports? Seeing none, we'll move to announcements. And our director, Chad, usually covers that. Sir, how is it going? Good morning, everyone. And we should welcome our county executive tonight. Thank you for joining us today.
So a handful of announcements. First off, we are going to be transitioning from Zoom to Teams. So Julie, that will be changing sometime in the next couple of months. We'll be transitioning with our virtual option for these meetings. And then I know Chuck, we've talked about this as far as maybe switching meeting rooms starting next year, but if we all want to think about maybe going in a smaller room, potentially we just want to get the rooms booked. So at some point we'll just need to make a decision.
What did you say, virtual? The what?
It's going from Zoom to Microsoft Teams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a new program for the county we invested in, so it's.
What does that require for the audience that they gotta do with different systems and connect?
It looks a little bit different. Actually, once you get used to it, I think it's more user friendly.
But it's widely available.
Yeah, you click a link and it should pop up.
As far as the smaller rooms, I think we should entertain that depending on viruses, the prevalence of the viruses, that kind of thing, so. We'll keep an eye on that as we go forward. How big a room are you talking?
Well, we have the room D right adjacent to our office, which is a little bit bigger than our conference room. So it's probably similar to what we have here for the layout of the tables. We just want to have to move the tables every time to be in a big space or take up the room again.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, sounds good.
So just for the acoustics, for being in a smaller room or the lower room, you deal with yours better.
That is part of where I'm thinking exactly. So it would be easier to hear in a smaller room for sure. Yep. So.
Yeah, there is some echoing in this room.
It's a drum.
I wanted to let the committee know that we are finding a handful of after the fact livestock sites. So that would be a new animal lot or a building that's housing livestock. And that can mean 1,000 dairy cows or it can mean 2 horses. So what we're having to do is follow up with potentially after the fact permits. And fortunately, there hasn't been any buildings that we can address with their setback to surface water, but there are a handful of them that are falling through the cracks. And what happens is at the town level, they should be notifying these landowners as soon as they're coming in for their building permit. If they're going to house livestock, they should be telling them to contact us. We send out a letter every year, and I'm going to be making some calls to some of these townships just to remind them to, you know, they're saying it's going to hold livestock to trigger their mind to call our department to make sure that they're calling us, because the building goes within 75 feet. We can't even do a variance that close. So luckily we're okay, but I just want
I don't need to know which one, but are there a couple townships that are way worse than others on this?
I had the same question.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, the handful are getting from one township right now, so we can call.
Yeah.
Soon to find out.
Might want to just hop in person and talk to them.
Yes, you try, you send out the letter, the ordinance has been in place for decades.
Yep.
So we would keep reaching out, making sure they know about it.
And Chad, I'd say years and years ago, I had a girlfriend who had a toy store up in Neenah. And she said you had to advertise 3 ways before you even begin to think of having people know that you're there. And I don't know, Winnebago County's getting older.
Is there a way, on a township level to put some verbiage on the permit?
They do in Vinland.
Okay,
Yeah, they reference county from. That's how it used to be, so,
okay.
yes, there is a way,
I
kind
kind
of
of,
a notification.
I like a checklist, somebody comes in for a permit,
Yeah.
is there livestock, contact 911, how simple is that, and get them to think about it. But- So we'll keep working on it, and luckily, like I said, it hasn't been a real big issue yet, some upset people, but they understand what we're doing, so. I wanna pass out this, I don't know if I have enough copies for everyone. Want to make everyone aware, we are advertising for our conservation poster contest. So the theme is may the forest be with you always. So it goes to the schools and they do posters and then we judge them at a local level, then they advance to a regional level and then to a state level. So we are doing more than we've done in the past this year, to try and get the word out to get the kids to do a poster and hopefully it'll advance on to a higher level. Yeah. So the last thing I have is I have the official Spirit Fund program plan here for all of you. I know you all requested a copy. So I want to pass these out and this would be for you all to reference with the program. And we have our first contracts for the program today that we will approve, and we're getting a lot of interest from farmers for the soil health portion of it and conservation portion of it as well. So calls are coming in, we're getting busy, which is wonderful. We are creating brochures in the department. This is a more higher level brochure of what the program is all about, and then we're going to have more specific brochures on soil health program, conservation buffer, and structural. So we're gonna keep doing outreach, social media, we'll do some mailings. But we're just getting started with all of it, and getting people aware of the Spirit Fund program. And that is all I have for announcements.
The word's getting out.
It is getting out.
Very, very. I don't really have any announcements as chair, other than, obviously, we have our budget coming up. Today, we will be reviewing this department's budget. So we'll get into that later on in the meeting. Any questions of myself as chair? Julie?
Can I just say
Sure.
one quick thing? And that is in the Neenah News, which is our little local newspaper. They came up with the, Fox water,
Foxwell Watershed?
yes. And they had a whole article about them. I meant to bring it and, it gets put somewhere and if I can find it, I'll absolutely bring it because it was really interesting to find out that they're being talked about. It was a good article.
Yeah, they've been short staffed and they're finally hiring some positions, the Winnebago Waterways Director, they finally filled that role and a few other roles in their group, so it's good, they were swamped with work being short staffed, so hopefully.
Well, and that may have been what they were doing, was letting the community know that those people had been hired because they actually mentioned who was in charge.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, Chuck,
Yes,
could you bring me my copy that was just handed out to the next county board meeting?
sure, yep, I'll be at the next board meeting, I'll make a
Oh,
note.
well, thanks, Chad. You can bring it then.
Great, great. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the business items of the meeting. First one is identified as number A, review and approve the 2023 USDA wildlife damage abatement and claims program. I believe we have two individuals from the feds.
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure will.
Put it on the table.
I'm Charles Chiplow. I'm the district supervisor for our agency, the Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services Program out of Pond. I've been here before, once or twice now.
Yeah, forgive me, I don't remember names.
That's okay. You see a lot of faces, I'm sure. And this is Rebecca Bravo. She's our new wildlife specialist. She replaces Maddie Taft, who's moved up to Wisconsin for athletes. So
Welcome. You're gonna be talking to us today a little bit about setting prices for crop damage, I believe. Am I correct?
yes, sir. So let's start there. Do you all have that handout?
Yes, we have this document,
So that's
identifies hay, alfalfa, and the next one is grains, corn, oats, soybeans, etc.
yes, sir. Those prices there that you see, those are what we gathered statewide for the last year, basically. Those are the averages for the last year. So it's up to the county if they want to decide to adjust those in any direction or go with it as is.
We have Bruce Bowen with us, who is one of our, I believe, primarily farmers, not dairy anymore. So we generally look at him to advise us. What's your thoughts there?
Well, yesterday's close on corn at the local market out of Riffin, corn was at 441. Soybeans are at 1188. And wheat was at 470.
Those are pretty depressed, aren't they, Bruce?
It's not so much depressed, it's what's on the market today.
Okay, now you're quoting average price for the year.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that would be the highs and lows all through the year.
Yes, sir, correct. And you realize that farmers, sometimes they'll sell their crop at different times of the years, and some of them are, prepaid for, pre-bought, and
Contract.
that contract is different times of the year, so it varies what they might get, and that's kind of why we go up a year-long average.
If you might, let's touch on, explain the program a little bit. This is a program that's offered by the federal government and administered by our department, I believe.
You're correct there. It's actually a state-run program, so offered by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and administered by the county. Every county has the option to do the program themselves, to contract with a private entity, or to contract with our agency. And currently in southern Wisconsin, out of the 43 counties that are in our district, in the southern district, there are I believe 38 that contract out of the 43 with us.
And this payments is for wildlife damage on farms that is identified by an individual from the USD.
Yes, sir. So the farmer chooses to enroll in the program, and if they enroll, there are several options depending on whether it's for deer, bear, turkey, geese, elk, and mountain lion, or no, just not mountain lion. So those are the primary. Yeah, Hilliard mountain. So those are the primary species that you can enroll. Majority of the folks enroll for either deer or geese primarily, but bear, if they're in the area, or wild turkeys that cause damages are eligible for enrollment. And should they enroll, then the options are that they would have to allow public hunting on their property for that species that they're enrolled for, because the money comes from $100 that are, the hunter, when you buy a license, that there's a surcharge on the license that goes towards the AMN program. So
These are generally identified in common terms as ag permits.
yes, okay, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have a little background. What's the committee's recommendation? Let's start with Bruce. What's your recommendation? Let's start with corn.
Well, corn I put at 5. I put soybeans at 12.
Hold on. Does everyone concur with 5 on corn? I'll do them separately.
I think that's good,
5 is good on corn?
yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to beans.
I would put at 12.
Okay, that is on soybeans. Alfalfa,
Alfalfa, I do not have a number.
recommendation is 162.58 a ton.
How many acres are affected by alfalfa, by the way?
In,
How many, in our clay area, how many acres of alfalfa are affected?
I do not know, the answer. I'm not sure. We have 4 enrollees currently in Winnebago County. And I'm not sure if we're doing
Are
it.
they the same one, Graham?
Fremont.
Yeah,
The Bible, the use over here and.
yeah. Particularly, and you,
We've done it with, very good thing in there.
James Fisher.
Yeah.
I'm not certain of the other 3 enrollees at this time. I apologize.
If the alfalfa, I would, I know there's a shortage of things. Just put that word.
We're sure. So the quoted recommended price is 162.58 a ton for alfalfa and 111.08 a ton for alfalfa grass mix. Do I have any comments or recommendations on that price?
My suggestion would be to leave them as recommended by the USDA.
Okay, concurrence on that, any other discussion? Okay, I think we have the prices on the table. I'll entertain a motion to
Mr. Chair, do we need to set a week price or do we need a week price as well?
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I would put wheat at 5, it was 470, it actually opened up 3 cents higher this morning.
Suggestion is $5 for wheat. Any discussion on that? Other options?
Oats,
Like, I don't think that probably.
I'm not sure of the goals, but you never know sometimes.
Just leave votes where it is. Leave votes at the recommendation.
Okay, which would be 490, 449 a bushel. You want me to go through these again? I have alfalfa at 162.58 a ton. Alfalfa grass mix, 111.08 a ton. I have corn at 5. Oats at 449 a bushel. Soybeans at 12 and wheat at $5 a bushel.
is it good?
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposition, the motion is approved and the prices are set. What do we need to do next, Chad?
90% cut on fee.
Yes, on the bottom over here. The cutoff date. What's it recommended?
We typically go with December 1st. This year crops are coming off really well right now, so I don't see why that would be any different.
Bruce? Good. Okay. Recommendation is December 1st as the cutoff date. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved. Oh, excuse me.
go ahead. And just for discussion, I'm just curious, I'm guessing the December 1st is so that if they don't, there's stuff off, we ain't gonna pay to feed the deer forever.
That's correct, yeah, so if they don't get the crop off, by that, or that 90% date, then typically they're not eligible to claim on that crop. We could grant exemptions based on certain, maybe they had mechanical issues or something else happened, but typically 90% of the crops are harvested by then. With 4 enrollees, I would see why they would pass that.
Very good.
I'll second.
Motion's on the table. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, motion carries unanimously, and the date is December 1st. Okay, that takes care of that document, I believe. Now we go to B, review and approve the 2024 wildlife damage abatement and claims program. So I believe this is this document. And I think what we're doing is
The budget for.
it's the budget for it, yes. And that is to sign up for another year, or is this multiple year? Chad, kind of help us out.
Maybe a single year, this would be the budget for 2024.
Yeah, there's 2 pages to that, and like always, I explain this every time, that I'll refresh your memory. There's 2 pages, the budgets, if you look at the bottom line, they're the exact same. The differences are, one is for the DNR because they have different line items than we do. And the other one is for us, for USDA, because of our line items are a little different, so. The numbers are, if you'll see in the, on the left side they're just jumbled up a little differently, they don't match up with the bottom lines, they all are the same. And it's because they define, a certain salaries a certain way, and we define salaries a different way, so. That's why they look a little different, but the ultimate budget and dollar amount at the end is the same. If I could elaborate a little bit, so, last year when we estimated the budget, before I go into that, so just realize that we're guessing for next year on how many enrollees are gonna be enrolled next year based on this year and the historic past, so right now we have 4 enrollees, and we assume that's gonna continue for next year. So when we design the budget, we're kind of guessing, we're forecasting what it's gonna be. So, with that said, last year when the budget was, we had 3 enrollees, and this year we have 4, so the budget's increasing about $1,200 from last year, based on an additional enrollee in the program to Winnebago County. Additionally, Beck's Meat was not in the program last year as a venison donation location. They are back in this year. So we have venison processor this year that's for the donation program that's in, so that adds to the budget as well, so.
I
don't have a minute.
Okay. Let's put it on the table. Do I have a motion to approve as submitted?
I have a motion. to approve.
Second,
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or explanation? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no opposition, motion carried unanimous. Agenda item C, and that is to review and approve participation in the 2024 deer donation program.
Yeah, like you could, Mr. Chairman, sure, brief comment. So, Jody within our office, our administrative assistant, had a connection with Bex. So she contacted them, twisted a few arms, and got them back on board, which I'm truly happy for. This is a great program for the community. It's usually around 20 deer that get donated, so Bex is willing to do it again for this year. So they're up and running, and I'm happy with the program back on board this year.
And how much are they being paid?
It's $100 per deer. The process is what they do for that.
That deer comes from the CWD county, and it's $110. Yeah. For that deer.
I just
John,
want to show my appreciation for this program. Food pantries are hurting now more than ever. And one of the biggest concerns that I always hear from food pantries is meats, proteins. So programs like this, I think is a really big way for us to see, how our county really supports and affects their people. And I appreciate this even being an option. I very much appreciate your staff reaching out to Bex and getting them back on board. I think we talked about when we lost them, let's try to find somebody, and there wasn't really anyone close. It was gonna cost us more to go out and get it. So for this to come back at a time where our food pantry is really needed, I think it's really great. I appreciate it very much.
And I will go to local pantry.
Yeah, and if you know of pantries that are interested in the program, have them call our office. Our office organizes the whole deer donation program with the processors and the pantries, so they can, their forms they fill out, it's real simple. And then from there, they just work with the processor to pick up that meat when it's available.
Off of that, Chad, if you could get me some contact information, and I will connect directly with Ann Kriegel from our human services, who's been working with all our food pantries, to help them through, the times that they're facing right now.
Yeah, I know Joey had reached out, I think it was, food pantry, and there was another one, there's two of them that found that. Showed interest, so, but I think it should.
Right.
Yeah, Doc, and I've got some connections with the Winnebago food pantry, especially at the lake, so, we could certainly share that with them, and on another note, if our county administrator would let the members of the solid waste board, take their rifles to that hill, we could help with your donation. It's protein and it's just running wild around there.
I don't believe I've ever objected to that.
Just the thought.
We do have what we refer to as marksmen or sharpshooters that do that type of work, so if you're ever interested in having us remove them from landfill, that we meet with all of them.
We seriously at the landfill level, we discussed having youth hunt out there or having options for the youth to harvest them versus the sharpshooter. That's
Or
because it would
veterans, either.
give the youth or veterans opportunity.
We have gas lines out there that we need to, as you know, we need to make sure that our aim is true.
Yep, yep,
I
yep,
appreciate that.
yep. We don't want to spectate all
We've
the
done it at,
Are you referring to thinning the herd or eliminating herd?
Any ever.
Good, good.
Yep.
Lot of discussion.
Yeah, I just, being an under 2-year member of the county board, I find it utterly amazing how much this county does and the work that goes on in the committees. And I'm not sure it gets out to the whole board, but boy, I've been going to some meetings and these committees are absolutely terrific at the way they work with the community.
Thank you. On the table is, do I have the motion? Did I get that far?
Motion in a second.
To approve the, participation in the deer donation program.
So
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I'm sad I don't have a vote.
Opposed, hearing none, it carries unanimous. Okay, next one is, we gotta turn the page, I believe.
Right at the bottom. Okay. We want to approve the donation program.
Oh, I thought we just did that, so we
That
know.
was the
Okay, so. Hang on while I catch up here. Well, we just did the program, so now I need to do that carry. What are you asking me to do?
just the approved budget. We got on top of the year donation program, and now we're going to participate in the program.
Oh, okay, I see what they did separate. Okay, so now we need to approve the participation in the program for 2024. Do I have a second?
second,
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, hearing none, motion carries unanimous. Okay, now we are on D. Okay, sorry, I had those two confused, they almost, okay, one's. D, review and approve the 5-year cooperation service agreement between Winnebago County and Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and the United States Department of Ag, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. Guess I don't need to read the rest of it. Wildlife Services implementation of wildlife damage abatement and claims program.
So, if I could, this.
That is this document?
Yes,
Okay,
and the resolution associated with that.
all right.
So this is a 5-year agreement, we do this every 5 years, so it's time again to review this and go over it. And this is basically the county agreeing to, work with our agency to conduct the wildlife damage payment claims program again. It's for 5 years. You can certainly back out at any time should you choose to, but this kind of keeps this thing going for another 5 years, and in 5 more years, we'll be back doing the same thing again if we're lucky, so.
The one thing, when do we get into actually looking at claims and building those? Is that at a later date, like in December?
Yes, sir. It might be in January, even after we've done the appraisals and the crops and everything, then we get it claim approval.
Okay, so for now, we need to approve the agreement, as has been explained. Get it on the table. Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove, actually?
Any questions about it?
I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
I have a second. Okay, now discussion. Any questions?
Is there any changes in the document?
The main changes are just it's formatting changes that we did to it, so ultimately, no, it's really remain the same. We found some typos, that type of thing, and corrected those, so that's those are the main changes.
John?
The question that, this is the resolution attached to, are you making a motion on that as well?
Is the motion, include not only the agreement, but the resolution to be submitted to the county board? Is that okay with everybody? Do it all at once? Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah, back here, did you get your question answered? Okay, good. So I have a motion on the table to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, which includes the resolution. Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. Agenda item E, review and approve the AIF cooperative agreement to satisfy eligibility for Foxbrook Watershed Alliance calendar.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, were you gonna take off? You didn't go into it? Okay, do you need some signatures?
If we could, or if you wanna
Sure.
grab those and email them to us, either way, or we prefer to have them, but
Is that okay, Mr. Chairman? You quickly sign those documents and
Sure.
be on your way.
Sure. We're on what, E here? Where are the documents? I have it
Right in front.
once you flipped over.
I could scribble.
Yeah, I know.
need,
I put them over here.
Yes, the ones you flipped, right?
Okay, so you don't have a master form or anything like that?
I don't know, it's just gonna be that top price and the top price is one that we
Yeah. Okay,
your donation.
all right. Anyone with me committee here for a few seconds, we'll get this taken care of.
You have a copy of that one?
Yeah. I'll be good then.
Maybe this one,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
There's the big chair.
Is it related to Angel?
No.
Yeah, well,
Angel
sure.
Basin.
How do we spell that?
Mine's all scratched up here, they want you to sign.
I have extra
Copy.
copies.
Yes, that's the copy.
Okay.
We'll leave those numbers on that version of the credit, so, because you changed them, so. We'll put the new price right over here, anybody would be able to.
Want me to write these in?
Yeah, that's fine, you can sign that copy right there if you want.
most of the head doctor, yeah.
Well, no, but you gotta,
It's not changing.
you gotta have a couple more.
I'm good with three.
You want my bigger copy?
Yes.
Well, apparently, John, there's something up there that says no chief exec, three, not enough.
That is right.
That identified or. No, that's perfect, thank you. And then,
The two budgets pages.
okay,
And once we get the 903 to the board, then I'll get that on.
okay, let's sign yours.
Okay, that's just all the time.
I don't know where.
You never signed so many papers in all your life at one time.
Yeah.
Well, sign your name right on that board.
Up here, right?
Yes, there's such a rate in years, I.
Down the back.
Oh my God. I haven't-
Just sign it.
Totally broken 3 years and we had.
It's nice to meet you.
We got 30 million.
Okay, good.
Thank you much, appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
So many.
Sorry for the delay, I will continue. We are now on E.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Review and approve the AIS cooperative agreement to satisfy eligibility with Foxborough Watershed Alliance calendar year 2024.
So a little background on this is, AIS is important for our department, but we just do not have the capacity to bring it to a level that possible can. So what we do
Would
is,
you explain that?
yeah, aquatic invasive.
Thank you.
So it's out there doing prevention, even trying to eliminate breakouts if there's a certain species where there's an outbreak, people try to eradicate it, and there's a lot of education involved as well. In your packet, there's a highlight sheet. This is from 2022 from Fox Wolf. And that highlights some of the things that are done. So they're at boat launches, they're inspecting boats, they're educating lake users. They're monitoring these launches, there's training, there's outreach, just a number of different things that this position does. And what this would do is we are allocated about $14,000 for Winnebago County. We designate that to Fox Wolf along with Brown County, Calumet, Fond du Lac, and LED, and they do the same thing. And they pool those funds to hire this position at their program through Fox Wolf Watershed. So this is done annually each year, and it's just a lot more efficient and productive to give our funds to them and still work with them, but they can bring it to a higher level to work out what they have some issues. That's essentially what this is through the cooperative agreement for 2024. They have to do this fund.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, I get just one of these wild and crazy things out there. I understand we have flamingos in Winnebago County. And not only do we have flamingos, but they are eating the zebra mussels. How did they get here? Oh, hurricanes, tornadoes, they get picked up and they land.
I heard that.
There, you can't see them here.
It's up like the Fox Crossing, that area somewhere.
I think it's on the Lake View up there.
Well, that
But
might be
they're
good
seeing them,
thinking.
they're eating the zebra mussels, and you go, oh, this is nuts. Well, we always wanted something to eat those up, didn't we?
And it tastes like chicken.
John,
What the zebra mussels?
No,
Oh,
Mr. Chair, I have a question, maybe you and Chad, and, you know, this is great. And as you know, the next item we're gonna talk about is budget.
yes,
The things are getting tighter and tighter. And one
as
of
we
the,
move forward.
yep, and one of the things that we talked about, as exploring the future is. Are there other ways for us to find revenue to fill this, that, if we get to that point? Chad, I know we talked about, potential a donation ability on our boat launches, since we're looking at since we're going to these digital base stations.
Yes.
I don't know if Winnie County or other boat launches in the county would be interested in doing the same thing. We get user fees to really start donating. So if the time comes, we have to tighten our belt and really start looking at things like this, that we could still have the support from the community to keep programs like this going. So just as much as I support this, and this is great, we need to be realistic on how we keep these things going on.
Let's go back to this grant. It was grant funded, was it not? At some point?
Yes, they did apply for grants and then it evolved into a more regional approach with DNR where they allocate the funds to the counties. They were applying for grants for the AS outreach and
Fox Local South,
right,
all right.
and now DNR provides a little bit of funding to do this.
So they provide grants to the county.
Yes,
Okay, so now the money we're talking about, 14,000, I believe you said?
yep,
Is that from a grant?
that is allocated from the DNR each year. They allocate a certain amount to each of the counties.
So it's a pass-through from us to Fox.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's really no budget liability.
Okay, no, but the idea of the donation, I mean, you might be surprised with the amount of people using these lakes, and we have an option on there, well, they can't hurt.
Yeah, sure.
John,
Okay,
I seem to recall at this meeting that you and I had a breakfast together. And you spoke with me about why the county should work with nonprofits like this. Can you explain that to us, please, here?
Yeah, I mean, as Chad says, some of our partners help us do the work that we couldn't necessarily do. I mean, for the investment that we have here, when you back out benefits, we couldn't hire somebody for that. It'd be, what, $12,000 a year, not even $10,000 a year?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna do the work that we get from that. We get so much more bang for our buck. And when our nonprofits are healthy, we work together as a team. So even though they may not be part of the county, as an organization, they are part of that county function.
So as we consider the Spirit Fund, is that a way that those monies could be utilized?
Absolutely, and that is the point. This is the type of point. That's kind of the reason of the $3 billion Spirit Fund program. Is how do we work together as a county with even our farmers and our citizens, everybody else to help get this going. The Climate Smart Grant, the 3-year project position that funds to help us get this going. How do we all the agencies work together, as well as our nonprofits, as well as our communities? Because if we all live at the same time, we can actually get stuff done. But if we had to lift it all on our own, we wouldn't be budgeting at all.
Thank you, I appreciate you reiterating that.
Doug? Just two things I just want to bring up. One thing, they come to the boat launches, and I'm not knocking anybody, not picking on them, but they come to the boat launches to tell you to pull the seaweed off from your trailer. Well, it's a pain in the butt to get under the trailer, and the seaweed is not all the stuff that's on the bottom of the boat, etc. In Winnie County, we have high hopes. Part of our plan on our part is to put in a pressure wash system, which every boat launch should have. If you want to get serious about invasive species, then hook up a pressure washer and allow the guy to at least pressure wash his boat before he's taking it somewhere else. And they get out their spray bottle, and a lot of them are rubbing down their shiny glittery boats. Anyways, I think they welcome a pressure washer. The other thing, what is so frustrating in these meetings is we're trying to do everything we can to clean the water, to get native plants growing, to educate the public, to put in rock walls, to put one damn wake boat can destroy everything that we accomplished in a whole year's time. And we're all aware for Oshkosh to have a damn wake boat on their brochure to bring everybody here. Somewhere in this mix, there needs to be somebody that's gonna start taking a little bit of a look at regulating those so they don't destroy it faster than we can try to save it. And I don't know if that, I know the invasive species is in that whole mix because they suck up water from Lake Winnebago and then they decide to go on Lake Michigan. And there's no way to even drain those boats, and they're making them bigger and better, and I think they started about 300,000, so you're trying to regulate people that have enough money to
Pay the fine.
fight you really bad, so, just mix those two things, I think, have to be at least thought about and considered. I don't have the answer, I don't. Hopefully, when he kind of gets a pressure wash system, that'll be a start, but, with all the work we're doing at the Drummond boat landing, I sure wish the pressure wash system had been part of that plan.
Are you pursuing a grant? For that pressure washer?
We've got a DNR grant for $250, and we're trying to kiss up to the county to see whether they're gonna throw some money at it also. But I think that is phase 2 of the project, is both a fish cleaning facility and a pressure wash system. We've got a hut there that nobody ever rents, nobody uses, that would work, and of course now it's got a couple bullet holes through it, so we might as well make it fish cleaning house.
With regards to the wake boats, I know the director up there in Vilas County, he was really pursuing some regulation on wake boats in the smaller lakes, and it started gaining traction, and then it exploded. There was a lot of controversy about it, and I think it died on the vine for now. I agree with you, especially on the smaller lakes, they can block the huge shallow lakes, it's an issue.
And, you know, even Lake Winnebago, if they stayed in the middle, unfortunately, if you are the best surfboard guy in the world, you don't want to be in the middle of the lake, you want to be buzzing the shoreline so that everybody can see how darn cool you are in your big fancy boat, so you aren't going to keep them in the middle where there's no audience, in my opinion, so, but they are, like I say, it's frustrating. We do like to think we do great work, and one of those can create as much problem as we solve in a year's time, I believe.
And one of the things I was really pleased about with the consolidation of the committees was that this committee is able to keep ourselves separated from parks. That was huge to me because there's such conflict going on.
Thank you for your comments. Back to approving the agreement with Foxborough Watershed Alliance. Did I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second,
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposing? Opposition, motion carried unanimously. I guess these are all stuff. Okay, now we're gonna take and review the budget for this department. I will start off by addressing my concerns with the process, but I won't elaborate on it. So let's get into what's being proposed for this department. Chad, I'll let you lead on.
Okay, I'll kind of walk through the document in front of you, and I'll try to hit on the higher level changes within the department, but if any of you do have questions as I walk through it, just let me know. But on the first page here, it's gonna look a little different than what we've had in the past for the narrative. So what you see here are the programs for the department, and this is part of the direction the county is going for priority-based budgeting. So what I did is I identified all the programs within our department to start to input into that program, and that's what you see here in front of you. So there are a lot of them, there's a lot of moving parts in this department, as you can see. But that's why you see it this way and how it is laid out. There's some new ones here, climate smart, producer led, which we'll talk about in a second. So since the last budget, as you all know, we have the $3 million with the Spirit Fund, so that was just identified on here. And then looking ahead to 2024, if you look to the second page, that's going to identify some of the grants that we are bringing in 2024. So the first one would be the Climate Smart Commodity Grant, and that one is about $750,000 for a 3-year project within this department. And that grant is going to support working farmers on no-till cover crop practices like we discussed. And you'll see in the budget here, it does pay for a 3-year project position. We're calling it actually a grant position, but we'll bring somebody on board that will be solely responsible for the deliverables of that grant. Hopefully in 2024, early 2024, we'll get somebody on board.
Mike, just for a note of ongoing issues within the county, you need to know this is not a new position that is being added to our budget. It's passed through because it was grant funded. You might want to keep that in mind as we get into the budget process itself.
Yes, you will see that on the table of organization for a department at the new position. But again, like Mr. Chairman said, it's completely funded with the grants for 3 years.
It's not a levy issue.
No.
Okay, when the grant comes to a conclusion, what happens to that person?
To be determined. So once we get to that, close to that 3-year mark, if we see a value to try and continue that position and need, then I would pursue other funding opportunities. I'm not going to come back to the board and ask for a levy increase. It would be another grant or other options at this point.
If I may, how I'm trying to propose the budget for next year, the direction we're going is as you see these programs. You will have costs allocated to the programs and all the departments that they're at, because sometimes you work together. So, and what I'm trying to do is give you a budget eventually where you can look under the hood and the priorities that you guys support, the priorities you can fund. So in the future, if that is something that you guys see great value in and the board sees great value in and they wanted to keep it on, they can make that decision at the time. And it allows you to look at the programs individually to give you more control over all the departments on how you're funding, what you're funding, and make it easier for you to kind of flip switches on and flip switches off. Which is the direction I'm trying to go. What we see now is we see rolled up numbers, right? Which is labor, either your labor goes up as a whole or your labor goes down as a whole, but you don't really know what's attached to it. And it's hard for me even to see what's attached to it as the executive. So that's kind of the direction we're going, and that's why we wanted to have these programs, and I think that ties directly to your question. So in 3 years, if we see that, and we see value in it, and we see outcomes that are great, and if it's, you know, if it's helping farmers to get the job done, and it's helping our water to be cleaner, and or if it's helping for more breakwater walls, that's what they're called, you know, to help done with them wake boats. These
I
are
don't know what they are either.
right.
Yeah, you're in a different world, guy.
Right. I mean, that's the type of budget authority I'm trying to give to the board and the budget ability to give to the board. And that is the whole point of priority-based budgeting. And it's really just difficult for us to get there because all departments do accounting in different ways. Which has been a struggle with Paul Kaiser, Director Kaiser. It was a real struggle with the Resource X program that we're working with, because things didn't just flow over to their. We have object codes that hold departments. We have object codes in the same level that hold programs. We have object codes in the same level that hold a division. So when you think of like the animal kingdoms, we have filings, everything has their, we are not lined up at all. We have 18 different departments in 18 different ways, and it's gonna be, it's gonna take some work for us to get that rectified, lined up. Because you have to do it carefully, because you need the history behind it. You can't just start over, because then we'll have like 4 or 5 years where we can't look back at history and project. So that's really the challenge. It's slowing us down a little bit this year, but the direction. So that when the time comes where a position is no longer grant funded, you still have the ability to say, is this our priority or not? And that is not my role to decide. It's my role to propose what I think is the best fit for us. And then it is the board's prerogative to fund what you want, how you want, and drive the policies.
Right, yeah, are there any questions up to this point?
Just, I can appreciate how hard the priority-based budgeting is. Solely because Winnie County tried to go to that 2 years ago. And it kind of cost us an administrator, and we still haven't accomplished priority-based budgeting. So apparently once you get there, it works well, but getting there is a hell of a challenge.
I'm prepared to catch heat for telling people the truth. And then that is the role that I have, to let us know exactly what the situation we're in. Then that is the accountability I'll accept. But if we don't look at our budget honestly and understand the challenges we're facing, when the cliff comes, we're gonna have to take an axe versus a scalpel. I am determined to get us there, and we're determined to put in the work so that we can be well informed, make good decisions as a county as a whole. To see how we work together as a team. And I'll tell you, over the process, in the last 2 years, our department heads have been coming together and working together more than ever. We bounce things off of each other. Chad has talked with John over at Solid Waste about, composting and other things, and we talk together with parks, and we figure out how we work together, how we share equipment, how we help each other out. So we're ready to face the challenge, operationally.
Yeah, it feels like it's more open lines of communication than when I first started responding with different departments.
And I appreciate seeing, you go, oh, goodness gracious. And it's like, I wonder how these, what, 20 services or programs that you do work within each other.
There is overlap in the team. They work on many of these things together and accomplishing the goals. But I'll be honest, once I put these all on paper, I kind of took a step back and like, we're doing a lot.
A lot without a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to take off. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Okay, Joey, thank you, have a good day. We still have a point, right? Okay, good.
So I will keep marching through again, just chime in if you have questions. So that was the Climate Smart grants, the urban non-point stormwater grant that we were awarded from DNR, that is for our MS4 remodels. So we do that on behalf of the highway department. That will be done in 2024 to find out where we're at with reductions and where we need to be. So that is half the cost. The $12,495 covers 50% of the engineering fees to get that done. And then number 3, we have the producer-led group, which is the first one in the county. Again, they're calling themselves the Muddy Bottom Farmers because of where they're located in the Rat River area. And there's 12 producers on that group, and that area is blossoming. We're getting a lot of interest even beyond that group for soil health. So it's pretty exciting to see things advance with that. And that will be for 2024, and that group will apply for a grant for that group based on the needs.
Are the grants up or down?
overall, they're up, the climate smart's a big one, so.
Ken, is a group like this involved in educating
It's a
the
huge,
surrounding areas?
that's a big part of what they do. So the farmers are talking to farmers. We had a field day a week or two ago. And there was a farmer that I never thought would put in a cover crop, worked the fields, and they hosted the field day. There was a great turnout, lots of good questions. So they learn from each other and they're educating each other and learning what's working and what's not, essentially. You know, we play a role, but sometimes it's better to hear it from a farmer than the government person tell you that. So it's very effective, it really engaged. Yeah, so that's great, yeah. Okay, so the next comment here is, Executive Damo didn't propose any changes to the request. We did make one change with the vehicle lease for the Climate Smart grant. I initially asked, Steve was in the budget here, I initially asked for 1 year on that product. But after discussing it with the board, it makes more sense to put the full amount in there in case we want to pay for the full 3 years of the lease. That was one small change in the budget.
So we're leasing the truck for this.
It's the only option. I have.
Grant, what?
Yes, it's the federal grant, people told us we cannot purchase the vehicle, it has to be leased.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
So like I mentioned before, our table of organization is going to identify the position for the grant. We're calling it a grant soil health specialist. So that would be the 3-year position that will be identified on our table of organization. And then overall, you're going to see an increase of about $79,000 or 12.32% for my budget. And the main reason for that were the staff wage increases. And this year I had $15,000 of revenue for some grants that was brought in with one-time revenue. So that's gone. I don't have that coming in 2024. So that's
Right, pick it up.
we have to pick up that. Yeah. So I think what we can do, I can walk through the budget on some of the bigger items. So,
Well, let's ask you, what would the committee like to do? You want to go through it page by page, item by item? What's your option? Your preference?
I think the big budget item would be, why would we,
Okay,
there was some of the high points.
I think that as long as I understand what the brackets are and the totals. And then we were talking about the positions that are the grant positions, I think I'd be happy at that point.
Bruce?
No, I agree with Kay,
Okay,
totally.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, that's kind of the premise. If you would, Bruce, that's all right with you? Yeah.
okay. Then if you turn to where the budget starts, where it identifies all your line items here, I kind of work through a few of the larger items. So starting out with account 42004, that is our DACAP funding. So that portion of the budget is our staffing money and our project money from the Department of Ag. So two things went down with that. We had a decrease in our staffing money. There was, I know I mentioned it to you all earlier, but there was a little bit of a mix-up in Madison on our proposal, and they actually ended up reducing staffing money for the entire state for county land conservation staff. Hopefully in the next biennial budget, this can be addressed and lobbied a little differently, but we had a reduction for 2024, it's about $7,000 to $8,000 less, which is frustrating because wages are going up, and it would be nice if the state would recognize inflation and wages and make those adjustments. And we are the boots in the ground with their programs, all these mandated programs that the state puts down on us. I feel like they should be funding those positions higher. So
we gotta pick that difference up.
yeah, so that was a small decrease there. And then some of the project money went down slightly too, so that's why you see that increase. But right below that, account 42009. You're gonna see a change there from my request and what Executive Demo changed it to, and the reason for that is the first line item, we had the $12,495, that was for the MS4 remodel. It made more sense after discussing it to put it in the DNR line item. So we just put it into that account, because it's coming from DNR. It was always done the other way, I'm not sure why, but this makes a lot more sense just to put it into that budget, so that account is. There's the MS4 grant and the folks we met with today would be the wildlife damage, the revenue, so we bring in around $1,000 revenue for administering that program, that's included in that one. Right below that is other grantor agencies, so there's federal programs mixed in with that, but the reason you see the large increase from the previous year is because of the climate smart grant. So that's the big reason why we have a large increase there. It's about $275,000. 2024 that we would, and that would be for the position, and it's would be for cost sharing and all those sorts. So then you can turn the page. The conservation services, there could be an object 65004. So there was an increase there of $29,110. So 50% of that is the grant for the MS4 engineering fees. And then there's also an increase in our labor. So we administer the MS4 permit on behalf of the highway department for the county. So because of the remodel and additional labor time, that number went up a little bit, and it's including the engineering fees in there as well. So that's why you saw that big bump in that. I'll just point out material sales 48,105. I decreased that just by $1,000 because our plat book is getting a little older. We get a big bump in sales and then starts to taper off as the plat book becomes dated. So I dropped that down a little bit, just thinking about selling plat books. But we are looking to do more frequent revisions of the plat book because it's easier to sell now. So we're looking at 2025 to develop a plat book to roll out for 2026. It's going to be the next update for now. And right below that, other miscellaneous revenue, 48,109. You'll see a little over $27,000 in that account. That is from the Monsanto settlement that the county had. So we got that money, we have it in hand, and it was given to this department to do food production work. There aren't a lot of strings attached, so we can use it for field days, we can use it for installation of projects. So it's nice to have those funds there to be able to do some of those outline. So that is that program. Going down to wages, a big bump with that. Two things that, again, the climate smart grants. I had to plan for a family plan, so there's some benefits in there, and that will be a big cost savings if they come in single, but I have to plan for the highest scenario. And also the wage adjustments. So that's why it was a bump.
Just an overall on how many more employees will be tucked in there? Any? In the regular wage category?
The regular wage category would be 8 plus the grant positions with 9 staff.
So an increase of one person.
One person, that's just one person for the grant.
Under the grant, otherwise status quo.
So if you didn't have that extra person, what would be the increase?
The grant position?
No, this overall increase in wage.
Without the grant position.
Yeah, you look.
It will be roughly, I think it's around 60 to 70,000 if I recall. Because it was about 90,000, I think I figured for the grant position. And we had about, yeah, I think it's around 60 to 70,000.
The reslotting was a big jump. You know, when I think of some of the staff we have over there, Melanie, for example, and don't want to single her out, we underpaid her for a long time.
Well, I just
Yeah.
rough
No,
number,
yeah.
or you said 15% maybe, without doing the.
Yeah, I'd have to figure the percent on that. It's
Yeah.
probably close to that, Bruce.
Okay.
Maybe a little less. Yeah. Okay, so then if you flip the page,
All good with that, another question?
There is one thing on the labor I do want to kind of bring up from the bids.
Identify the number if you're looking.
Which, yeah, 51203. You can see in the fringes. Workman's comp. went up significantly. And just about every.
335%.
35%. I'm still trying to understand a little bit more.
That stands out.
It absolutely stands out and is in just about every department, and I don't know, it's.
But it doesn't the state drive.
Correct.
It's generally, just on the private side, it's generally referred back to how many claims you had on a given year, so if you had a few incidences. They can take it right through the road.
Yeah, some departments were affected more than others. But I have asked, Director Collard, to address that at the county board meetings. So that everybody
Yeah.
understands that. That is a common question that we're getting. And I don't have enough technical expertise to give you the reason.
But that number will be somewhat uniform throughout all the departments, correct?
It is. Yeah, it is.
Anything else, John?
Not on that.
Ready?
Yeah.
We'll move on. Go ahead.
Well, let me go back to, page 2. And there are a bunch of brackets there saying 12,495 increase from the DNR. I just want to know, are the brackets a negative or a positive? Because I know there was some question about.
I have a
negative and
page
positive
2. Are you
somewhere else,
looking
and
at?
whenever I see those brackets, I think
Parentheses or the positive. It's weird.
it's weird.
Okay.
And so that was one of the things that. So with nothing, is that a negative? If you don't have a bracket around
Yeah,
it,
if you look at the.
Well, it shows
8,000
decrease.
decrease,
Yeah, that's all.
okay,
Okay, so keep moving on here under the travel line item, account 52003, the vehicle lease. We just moved that, that was initially where I was told to put it for the vehicle lease under travel, and you'll see in a little bit here, we moved that to operate for the entire vehicle lease under that, so that's why that was removed under the executive budget there.
Is it roughly 9,000 a year?
It'll be 25,000, so we have for the grants, so we're putting a full amount in there to maybe pay for a full 3 years. So, yeah. Okay. So, in terms of the page. So, under equipment 58004, in 2023, that was our truck. That was in the unassigned fund, the general fund initially. So that was taken out for not requesting a new purchase of the vehicle in 2024, which we got our new truck. I don't know if I mentioned it, but we have it.
Finally?
Finally got it, so, yep.
Well, you might have to test drive that.
Yeah, I know 2 of my staff are happy from upgrading from hand crank windows, rusty truck, 20-some years old to buttons.
so how forward looking are you? Is it EV?
Not that forward looking, but it's more efficient than past vehicles for sure.
Good.
All right, so under office, I'm not gonna go over all these line items, but
Yeah, that's all right.
just a higher level, there's a bunch of small increases here. Because the climate smart grants was included in all this, so it's a project code, but it was lumped in all under all these, there's gonna be a small bump in all, both of those line items. Just so you're aware of that.
Identifying it as an expenditure.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so on the next page, under operating grants, 53565, there are many grants under that. But the increase was primarily because of the climate smart grant, producer led, and then sample settlement. And I do want to mention our county program. I have that at 94,000 this year. I scaled that back to 90,000. I increased it this year because I had that one-time revenue and I was able to bump that up from 87,000 to 94, but then I brought that back down a little bit to try and save a little money with the 90,000. So there's a little bit of an increase with that one. Let's see here. And if you turn the page, back to the last page, under other contracted services, 55030, that amount is platform costs. We order as needed now. We used to order 500 800 to 1,000 copies, and we have boxes sitting in my department, and now I got it set up where we get 150, and then I only order them as we need them, so it's more efficient and saving us money and saving us storage, not having boxes of plastics. That also includes the Winnebago water-based program and $20,000 that we contribute towards that. This is the wildlife damage program and MS4 is included in that.
I think it's on Flexbooks. I think last month or one of the last months, I said that Martinson and I were selling Flexbooks. Do they buy them from you? I think it's a Winnebago County platform.
Some entities will create their own fact books as well, so it's not just us, it happens. Yeah, there may be several vendors, yeah, it's pretty typical. A lot of times they're more expensive than what we provide them for, the residents.
So I might reach out to Martinson later and tell them to have it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they sell it. But they sent cards out, we started to see one of them.
Okay, yeah,
Now, do we make money on the platforms?
we do, so the expense to buy them is about $70, we sell them for $35. So it'd be like plus tax, yeah. Yeah, so we're making 50% profit, but that price is still lower. You go on their website and there's $55 if you buy right from the vendor.
And the reason I'm asking is I just gotta believe that Critter would sell an awful lot of those platforms
Yeah,
there if we could. I just, there was and not saying that others would, I just know how many hunters go in and out of that place, and I think he'd be happy to carry them at no profit to him just to have available, and they could sell more of them.
yeah.
I know if that's a thought,
I would have
Yeah.
to dollar on the standpoint, what we have to do to probably have some sort of contract or something.
No, Jody, that might be different because those were fair tickets. I was gonna say, we sold a lot of fair tickets, that was the other way around, that was us selling tickets from the fair. I'm sure there's a way for us.
Yeah, the more we can get it out, the better. So the more revenue for it to come.
just a thought.
And that is a quick overview of the budget, unless anybody has any other specific questions.
Okay, bottom line, I always reference bottom line levy. Are we increasing taxes or are we going to lower taxes? They're gonna be up about 12.33%, which has obviously been very well explained. I'll come back to the committee. John, the overall budget, which none of us have seen yet. Can you give the committee a sense of direction where we're going on levy for the overall budget?
Well, our net new construction allowed, it's roughly 807,000.
Plus 250 from last year, right?
Which we did not take. I mean,
Oh,
we
you
had on
didn't
the
take it,
table.
okay,
I do not want to be at 100% tax to max.
all right,
It gives us at least a little bit of room if we make a calculating error. Then we're not gonna get slapped or penalized for the state of Wisconsin. So being at 100% is not, I'm not comfortable. I eventually like to get a little lower. That's just me. I think we're doing okay. The budget as proposed will have another reduction in mill rate. Which isn't necessarily a tax cut. That's what we thought we were gonna have last year, but then the equalized value went up. So taxes went up even though our mill rate went down. So had we not reduced our mill rate, taxes would have went up even more, so I guess still. I don't know if I'd call a reduction or not, but I'm trying, I know people are struggling there. That's just what I just know that dollar goes a lot less these days, and to your comments and selling plat books, it's a lot better to make money than take money. That's kind of the philosophy that we're trying to look at countywide and user friendly and why we need to work together as a community. But I have some concerns. I asked for departments to give me a reasonable budget, and for the most part, they absolutely did. Chad's a great example of that. I didn't give him a levy limit. I said, give me what you think you need, what you think you can get by, and I would say a vast majority of our departments really sharpen the pencil and put in some good work. And this budget is one of those. Overall, you will see a theme of fund use balance. And to address that more quickly, you don't really have it, it's kind of like operating expense, we took your vehicle out of the general fund, right? So for Chad to be able to find $48,000 for a vehicle in a department this size, it's hard, right? So we need to look at that program wide, it's really hard for a small department.
I can tell you, I appreciate that because in the past, this department struggled to find money to update the trucks. And it was a struggle, so looking at it, a different angle on that,
Right.
that huge for the small department.
Right, on the same bat, there's other things that are gonna be looked to be put on. Even more so probably in the next budget, not only your computer licensing, but the replacement costs for your computer as well. This will make departments be very conscious about how many computers I need. I don't just need 2 laptops and 3 screens because it's gonna make my life easier. Wait, I have to pay for them now? Okay. I only need a laptop and maybe another screen, with a license. And you'll see in IT, we have a technology replacement fund. I don't think it's right for us to take money out of the taxpayer's pocket for computers I might need to buy in. So we need to make sure that we are aligning that, and every department has a rainy day fund. It's called the general. They have to go to the county board to use it, and even Parkview doesn't have the authority to spend out of their own reserve fund. They have to come through the county budget and process, say we're going to use this, and the entire board has to do that. So I want to start getting rid of all these separate funds, and put them into the general fund, unless you're truly an enterprise fund and you can make the money. Then build it as much as you want to, if it's not taxed. But we gotta really try to get us to a 1 county budget instead of 23 competing budgets. Because we gotta start looking at the bigger picture. There are some cliffs coming. And again, we can't just keep putting the liability at our people as eggs have come down, but butter has not. Oh, maybe a little bit. But it's getting harder and harder, with energy bills and everything. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I appreciate, having people like Chad, that understand the goal, to put together a budget like this. I think that's why some of those wage, adjustments were needed, that reslotting, so that we have the right people, that can put in the work and get creative or to find solutions to get it done with the amount of people that we have. Which is, you get what you pay for, right? So a lot of this credit, especially on this, comes to Chad. He's really bought the process, and you guys have a really, really good director here, and they can't speak highly enough about it.
And he's interested in our lives. As individuals too.
Yeah. But he's not only been a county resident.
I was great here.
That's speaking about what you're, but John, when we come to budget in what, 3 weeks?
Yep.
Is there going to be an explanation to the entire board about this? Because I believe that there, forgive me for saying this, I believe that there are people who are involved but uninvolved.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
And to have this explanation again, particularly with a bunch of us being silverbacks, I think it would behoove you all to once again go over. And I don't know if it would be happening department by department, or if it would be you or Mike being the ones who discuss this, saying that there is a great deal of our money that we are talking about here coming from grants. And although you see the numbers going up, they are in fact being balanced.
Right, and balanced by what? Revenue isn't all equal. A grant is not, you don't know if that's sustainable, that could go away.
Yes,
Revenue, like a Medicaid reimbursement is more, that is always going to be there. So when I look at positions, like the project position, the reason it's a project position is grant funding. There's no guarantee after 2 years, so it's a project position. If you have actual revenue, now I'm okay. I mean, we're posing, you'll see in human services, quite a few people that are actually paid for, with sustainable revenue. Is it sustainable or is it not sustainable? So we have to be really careful, and I think Chad did it right. When you have grant revenue that comes in on a position, that's just not a permanent TO position, and Chad wrote it up as a project position for 3 years. I think that is responsible, the responsibility of it.
so the various departments going to, talk about that at the budget time, or I just want it to be noted, not just once, but at least 2 to 3 times per day.
I'm hoping to, I've also, in talks right now to get the CEO and president of Resource X, Chris Fabian, to fly in for our budget hearings, to speak about priority-based budgeting. And to explain this a little bit more, how we need to look at this as a whole, how do we fit together, how do we figure this out?
Yeah, because you look at human services, I was at that meeting on Monday, and then you look at that, and you see programs. Lord have mercy, how do they accomplish this? Yeah, how do you accomplish it with 8 people? Plus 1 who's granting.
John, I don't know if I know your position.
Mhm.
Who are you or what?
Oh, county executive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man in charge.
Okay, I'm assuming by the name, but I.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's. We gotta work together as a team. Just the way it is. And as we have to work with our partners, we have to work with our communities. And the ones that don't wanna play nice are gonna get one.
Okay, I think, appreciate all the discussion. Is there anything else on the budget? If not, we'll move on. We good on the budget? I think you have an understanding of where we are and how it's gonna fit into the larger budget. I would expect, a lot of discussion this year, and perhaps even the predicted controversial issues that will come up, so.
Yeah,
What's
and,
new?
Part of the process, yeah.
and if I could, just to remind, this committee, that if you believe in this committee's budget, it's up to you to defend it. After I give my report, I'm done. I'm no longer able to speak up. I have no vote and no process. I hand it over to you. So it'll
Be well assured it will be, supported,
right.
unless I hear otherwise from the committee.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to review and approve the land water conservation department spirit fund program cost share agreement. We have that new wording in there now.
Well, we officially have.
What do you
our
think?
First agreement with the spirit funds today, so, it's a wetland restoration in the town of Black Wolf. It was signed up with the county program at the 70%, and this would be the 20% of the spirit fund program. And this would be installed later this fall. It's like part of a larger project. The farmer is tapering back his banks, it's eroding really heavily along the stream main. So we're gonna taper that back, we're gonna stabilize it, vegetate it, and then he is going to enroll it into the buffer program, our existing county buffer program. So it's, I think it was 65 feet on either side will be vegetated for the next 10 years, and then this is all gonna drain to the wetland that we're gonna create at the bottom. And that's what these funds would go for, and it's for $1,975.40, so.
I think we need approval on that. Do I have more
So moved.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, on position, motion carries unanimous.
Maybe, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I just want to take a moment to really appreciate this moment in time. This is something really good that you pushed for. You were very, I guess, emotional about, if you would.
Adamant, whatever. Yeah.
Right, and this really, this $3 million that we allocated, has the chance, well, will make a generational difference. And I think you approving that right now is the beginning of that program. I don't want that moment to pass then.
We have talked about taking the first agreement and bringing it.
Right.
Right.
Right,
It is signed on the
Right.
price department, a small department to
right.
have these funds and do great things in this county. I can't tell you how excited and thrilled to be part of it.
And so kudos and thanks to both of you on the work so hard.
And the committee.
What are the,
For interest was that lot.
What's that?
what are the individuals for the 30?
Yet to be decided.
Meaning at some point it could be trickle down effect that each area that they can get 3 million at some point and make it more than not.
No, it'll probably not at that amount. We don't know. Yep,
We talked about it.
yep, we don't know yet. And that's up for the board to decide.
Well, I think we got it. We're going to 15 years. Is that okay?
No longer than 15.
I'm assuming that it's invested.
It is.
Okay.
Yep, oh yeah, and rates are higher.
Well, that's what I.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A little bit of that kind of.
We have one thing left, that'd be agenda item H, and that's review the Landwater Conservation Department project list. I see, Bolin Farms on the top here, town of Rushford.
Yes, I can walk through it. If you want to chime in, Bruce, feel free, but the first one is Bowen Farms. Bruce has an existing manure pit that he is no longer going to be using, so we are going to design to properly abandon that pit, which is a liability off of him to get it designed, it's recorded, and no longer a potential concern for groundwater. So we'll be working with Bruce in 2024 to get that done. And that'll be a combination of the Spirit Fund program and county funds to fund that. Paul Delford, he's on Lake Hoyden. He's experiencing some pretty good erosion on part of his property. And we're looking to do some onshore riprap to stabilize that. And then there's also a well, that's a shallow well that we want to get away from. So we're going to abandon as well. It's going to raise the house, abandon the well, and everything to protect the peninsula that he has its experiences in erosion. And that will be hopefully this winter. Peter, good question.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have one more. Okay, one more. Peter Town is on Lake Winnebago and experiencing some erosion. We'll be working with him to get that stabilized. And then we're hoping to also sell them on a shoreline buffer as well. Those are the three projects for this
I
month.
think the only question I have off our project list is the sake of with the new money now and the approvals that are you gonna take care of and I think like as it starts to become known, how are you gonna itemize or take worst case scenarios or the most impact? If you have more work than you can get done, because we talked about
Yes.
that at the beginning.
Yeah, so
Prioritizing is the word I'm looking for.
So one example, I'll take the soil health program.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is we're not just gonna sign up all the acres right away. We're gonna divide it out like 700 acres in a given year and then space that out. So not only do we keep our head on straight to manage it, check fields and process payments, but things are evolving in soil health and people are learning. So I want to kind of spread that out because 5 years from now, we may know something we don't know now. So that's part of my thought process with that. And then the buffer program shouldn't be as bad. I mean, there's some paperwork and we have a monitoring schedule set up for that. The hard practices will be the bigger one based on demand. It's going to have to be, if it's eligible, you come in and you might have to get on a waiting list based on demand. We'll have to see how that one shakes out. A big part of it is I have new staff and contractors are getting other. We're not getting a lot of bids, so we are looking to expand the contract business. We try to expand that, but part of this is gonna evolve as time goes. And that's why I gave it 15 years to be able to manage it within the department. I think we'll be okay.
And it has that flexibility that we can adjust as we move.
Yes, same with the amounts that we have of all some soil health programs more popular, and shift some of that money around where we do the program. And we can talk about that.
In personnel, off your budget, you had one person on there supposedly coming for soil health. That's 60.
For the Spirit Fund program.
Correct.
We had someone very interested yesterday.
My point is, you're shooting for one person.
We're shooting for a number of acres. So it'd be like 700 acres next year.
So how many people?
You might say you're gonna add
Total employees.
Just the one?
to support an increased workload.
There was a zero for the Spirit Fund program.
Right.
One was Climate Smart, one position solely dedicated
For the community, or okay.
for Spirit Funds. Now, that position is, it's gonna dovetail into a lot of the work we do with outreach, because they are also signing up soil health acres with that grant. So the outreach, they'll be working together with that, but the Spirit Fund program, that Climate Smart position has to be solely for that grant. And then we'll handle it in-house.
We're going to ask, I know when we started the whole process of how much are we gonna ask for?
Yeah.
In the, how many people needed? I thought you said at one time maybe 3.
Yeah.
But if you're just additional 1 for whatever, I think that's really a good stewardship.
Yeah.
At least initially.
Yeah,
That's grand.
No, I agree.
and we did create the new soil health and watershed specialist, Emily in our department. That was a new levy funded position, which I can't tell you the value of that on the soil health world. So that is one increase within the last couple of years. That is tiny, because she's out there working with farmers, creating relationships, and it is gonna be perfect with the soil health portion. Yeah. And when I was saying 3 groups, it was, I was worried you guys are gonna give me 5 years.
Right, well, we didn't know, I'm just asking questions, now we're at the end of it. Right, and at the beginning of the,
I could always use more staff, but we're gonna work with everything.
now that you got the boss here, you might as well,
John,
Yeah, and I also appreciated the time frame too, and the other, that we had last year. There are some, properties that would be ideal transfer, to whether it be no-till farming or a buffer zone or something there. Clearly, there are some fields, that are more, would have a higher impact. But we do not force anything on anybody.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so I appreciate the time to be able to show some of these, farmers the value of the program, to get them to willingly, jump on board. And the time to implement this, because I think if we had to spend it all in 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, right,
I gotta tell you, once the word gets out, with
Yep.
this elevation of funding, I really expect a lot of work for this department.
well, and we have to remember their capabilities of doing that, and how fast they can go. And really make sure that we try to sell it to some of those fields that really, really matter.
That's the fact that when I asked earlier about priority, because all of
Yeah.
a sudden, some.
Right.
So
If I forget that.
one thing we are doing is it's our priority, it's the highest goal in some watersheds, we're gonna focus our outreach on the biggest pain point. So that's gonna be kind of the approach to start with our outreach. And then we do have eligibility criteria for a lot of our programs, like shoreline erosion. We just don't go out there if someone has a really big erosion, they have to be delivering a certain number of tons to be eligible, so that we can sell a lot of the lower priority.
We're well on our way. Thanks, Harry. Committee, our county exec, very good with you. There's nothing else on the agenda. I want to thank John for attending our meeting today. Quite welcome. Come again if you would.
I
Probably,
appreciate it.
in my personal biased opinion, one of the better committees.
I remember you saying that when I first came on.
Accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. I don't believe discussion is necessary. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, hearing none, we are adjourned, and thank you very much.